Ladies and gentlemen, today we're diving deep into the concept of self-validation. This is the idea that the most important opinion you can have is the one you hold about yourself. Too many of us live our lives in the shadows of others' opinions, trying to gain approval from people who may never understand us or our journey. But what if I told you that the key to unlocking your potential lies in one simple truth: you don't need anyone else's approval to be happy, fulfilled, or successful? Let's take a moment to explore what it really means to validate yourself. Self-validation isn't about arrogance or self-importance. It's about recognizing your own value and believing in your worth, regardless of what anyone else thinks or says. It's about standing tall in your truth, knowing that you have something unique to offer the world. When you validate yourself, you give yourself permission to be who you truly are. You start to live authentically, not in the shadow of someone else's expectations. Now think about this: how often do we second guess ourselves because we're worried about what others might think? How often do we hold back our true opinions, our dreams, or our desires because we fear rejection or criticism? This need for external validation is deeply ingrained in us. It starts in childhood with the desire to please our parents and teachers. It continues into adulthood as we seek approval from peers, bosses, and society at large. But here's the problem: when you constantly seek validation from others, you give away your power. You allow your self-worth to be determined by people who may not even know your true self, who may not understand your dreams or your struggles. Self-validation begins with a decision to believe in yourself, to trust your instincts, and to honor your own path. It's about recognizing that you are the expert of your own life. No one else knows your thoughts, your feelings, or your experiences as intimately as you do. When you validate yourself, you stop looking for approval outside of yourself. You start giving yourself the permission to take risks, to fail, and to learn. You start to see yourself as worthy, not because someone else said so, but because you decided you are. Think about all the great innovators, leaders, and creators in history. Do you think they waited for someone else to tell them their ideas were valid? Do you think they held back their genius because they were worried about being judged? Of course not. They forged ahead because they had a deep, unshakable belief in themselves and their vision. They didn't let the noise of the crowd drown out their inner voice. They validated themselves. And because of that, they changed the world. When you validate yourself, something incredible happens. You begin to attract people and opportunities that resonate with your true self. You stop wasting time on relationships and situations that don't serve you. You start to live a life that feels right for you, not for anyone else. You start making choices based on what's in your heart, not on what others expect of you. And when you do this, you tap into a wellspring of power, confidence, and joy that is uniquely yours. But let's be clear, self-validation isn't always easy. It requires courage. It requires you to step away from the crowd and be willing to stand alone, at least for a little while. It requires you to be okay with not being liked by everyone. And that's tough, especially in a world that constantly tells us to fit in, to conform, to follow the herd. But let me tell you, there's nothing more liberating than standing in your truth. There's nothing more powerful than owning your story and saying, this is who I am, and I'm proud of it. Self-validation is also about self-compassion. It's about recognizing that you are enough just as you are, with all your flaws and imperfections. It's about treating yourself with kindness, understanding, and respect. It's about giving yourself grace when you make mistakes and learning from them rather than beating yourself up. It's about celebrating your successes, no matter how small, and acknowledging your efforts, even when things don't go as planned. We've all been conditioned to believe that our worth is tied to what we achieve or how others perceive us, but self-validation breaks those chains. It frees you from the need to constantly prove yourself to others. It allows you to show up fully as you are, without apology or pretense. And when you do that, you inspire others to do the same. You become a beacon of authenticity in a world that desperately needs more of it. So how do you cultivate self-validation? Start by becoming aware of your inner dialogue. Notice when you're being overly critical of yourself or when you're seeking approval from others. Then challenge those thoughts. Ask yourself whose opinion matters here. What do I truly believe? Am I living for myself or for someone else? Begin to replace those negative thoughts with positive affirmations. Tell yourself, I am enough, I am worthy, I trust myself, and I believe in my abilities. Another powerful tool for self-validation is setting boundaries. When you know your worth, you won't allow others to treat you poorly. You won't say yes when you mean no or put others' needs before your own. You'll stand up for yourself and protect your energy, time, and well-being. Setting boundaries is an act of self-love and self-respect, and it's a crucial step in validating your worth. Surround yourself with people who lift you up, who see your value, and who encourage you to be your best self. Let go of toxic relationships and environments that make you feel less than. Remember, you become like the people you spend the most time with, so choose wisely. Be with those who reflect the love and respect you have for yourself. Self-validation is a journey, not a destination. It's a daily practice of honoring your truth, trusting your path, and believing in your worth. It's about knowing that you are enough, just as you are, without needing anyone else to say it. It's about reclaiming your power, stepping into your greatness, and living a life that's true to who you are. This extended version dives deeper into the concept of self-validation, emphasizing its importance and providing practical insights on cultivating it in daily life. Today we're going to dismantle one of the most pervasive myths that holds so many people back from achieving their true potential, the myth of perfectionism. We live in a world where perfection is often idolized. We see it everywhere, from social media feeds filled with flawless images to success stories that gloss over the struggles and setbacks. But let's be clear, perfectionism is a trap. It's a lie that keeps you stuck, afraid, and constantly striving for something that doesn't even exist. Think about it. How many times have you held yourself back because you felt you weren't ready, because things weren't just right? How often have you delayed taking action because you were waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect opportunity, the perfect set of circumstances? We tell ourselves, I'll start when I have more time, or I'll launch this idea when it's flawless, or I'll put myself out there when I'm perfect. But here's the truth: that perfect moment will never come. The conditions will never be just right, because perfection is an illusion. Perfectionism is like a mirage in the desert. You keep chasing it, thinking that if you just push a little harder, it will finally materialize. But it never does. It's a moving target, always just out of reach, always promising fulfillment, but delivering disappointment. And the more you chase it, the more you lose sight of what truly matters: progress, growth, and authenticity. You see, perfectionism isn't about striving for excellence. It's about fear. It's about the fear of being judged, the fear of failing, the fear of not measuring up to some arbitrary standard. It's a shield we use to protect ourselves from criticism and rejection. We think that if we can just be perfect, we can avoid the pain of failure and judgment. But in reality, perfectionism only amplifies that pain. It creates a constant feeling of inadequacy, because no matter how much we achieve, it's never enough. There's always something more to fix, something more to perfect. Let's be real here, life is messy. It's full of ups and downs, twists and turns, successes and failures. And that's what makes it beautiful. Perfectionism tries to iron out all the wrinkles, to create a life that is smooth and flawless, but in doing so, it strips away the richness and complexity that make life meaningful. It's in the messiness of life that we find growth, learning, and ultimately fulfillment. Now let's talk about the cost of perfectionism. It costs us time, energy, and most importantly, our happiness.